Hello and welcome back to the channel. Oh, I forgot my lights, but here we are. Today we're gonna look at the the upcoming UFC Fight Night, Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy, and just gonna take a deeper dive into the card, and I'm gonna give you my predictions for the event and yeah, all the other good stuff I want to talk about. Because there's something to talk about in this card. We're gonna do that. Alright, let's go right into it. We start off in the prelims with a women's strawweight division. We have Vanessa Demopoulos versus Talita Alenkar. Where's she from? Brazilian. Alenkar. We have the typical veteran versus newcomer matchup here. Demopoulos has fought around 10 fights in the UFC. Like lost 5, won 5, something like that. Alenkar has her first or second fight in the UFC. Let me check. Her second. No, her third. It's her third fight. She had a draw in her contender series, then won a fight, and then had a rematch, the girl from the contender series fight, and then lost. Yeah, but pretty decent run, other than the 2 fights against Stephanie Luciano, who already lost in the UFC as well. Just not the easiest to predict because, yeah, Demopoulos is pretty good all around. Alenkar fights very, very grappling heavy. But since Alenkar gave Sam Hughes in her last fight all she can handle, I'm actually leaning towards her. Because I think that Sam Hughes is like the better, way better athlete than Vanessa Demopoulos. They're probably kind of similar because I do think they're both CrossFit athletes. But I think Sam Hughes is stronger, and she had a tough fight with Talita Alenkar, so I'm leading towards her by decision for Talita Alenkar. We move on because there's so much to move on to. Bantamweights, we have Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. So far, Henry has only lost to high-ranked fighters. Basically, only high-ranked fighters. I mean, there's a Denis Lavrentiev in Paris FC with it. But other than that, since he's in the UFC, he lost also a Sansao, who at the time was kind of exiting the top 10. He beat Haniyaya, who just derailed Talbot, no? No. Oh, I'm wrong. Who was the guy that derailed Peyton Talbot's winning streak? Raoni Barcelos, yes. Okay. Well, Victor Henry has a lot of fights, and as I said, recently he came into his groove, kinda. Only lost to top competition. His last fight was a loss to Charles Jourdain, which, I mean, it's Charles Jourdain. You can lose to him. It's okay. Yeah. So far, okay, that's the one side of the fight, okay? The other side of the fight is Pedro Falcao, who's fought once in the UFC and lost. I mean, it's not too bad. It's getting worse, though. Trust me, it will be getting worse. I think Victor Henry can put Pedro Falcao away. I'm leaning towards the TKO for Victor Henry. Moving on. We have the women strawweight division again. We have Loma Lookboonmee versus Istela Nunes. I don't want to talk about this fight. I really do not. Istela Nunes, I'm just saying this. Istela Nunes is 0-4 in the UFC. Lookboonmee is just outside the top 15. She's also the representative of the Thai market, or a representative of the Thai market. This might be a reason why she's getting easy fights, but or was there a change in opponent? I don't think so. Let me check. Let me check if there was any change of a position. I doubt it. Yes, there was. She was supposed to fight Ariane Carnelossi. What happened? All right. I understand it a little bit more now. Ariane Carnelossi is more deserving of a Loma Lookboonmee fight. But we get Istela Nunes, and okay. I'm not that mad anymore about that fight. I still think Loma is gonna actually knock her out. I'm going for TKO for Loma. And we move on to the welterweights. Rhys McKee versus Daniel Frunza. This is a second. Is there another? Is there? Okay, before I say something, I have to check if there has been a change at all to this fight. Nope, not on this side, and not on this side. So this is a scheduled fight. Okay. No change of opponent, and still you give Rhys McKee, who's 0-4 in the UFC, you put him against Daniel Frunza, who is making his debut on a win streak. Yes, you can argue that Rhys McKee was cut from the UFC and fought his way back, but still, he was cut because he lost 2, and now he's on a 2-fight skid again. He lost against, like, top 20. Nah, Angelos, that's not top 20. Top 30. Oh, he's not. Machi is. But I still see Daniel Frunza just not taking any prisoners here. Romania hasn't had many fighters, I don't think. I'm not sure. So they give him Rhys McKee to bolster up his streak. Maybe Rhys McKee can surprise me, but so far his resume just doesn't look too great. I'm sorry. We move on. What did I say? TKO? TKO Daniel Frunza is my pick. We move on. Women's flyweight division. Diana Belvita versus Dion Barbosa. Dion Barbosa? Something like that. Another fight that I just don't agree with. Belvita has lost 5 of her last 7. And Barbosa has lost 1 fight in her career, I think? No. She has lost more. But lately, since she's in the UFC, she lost to Miranda Maverick. And no one else. And losing to Miranda Maverick, I'm sorry, but that's not something to be ashamed of when you're fighting in the women's strawweight division. Flyweight division, I'm sorry. It's just not. She's fighting Rose next, so make with that what you want. Like I said, and Diana Belbita has lost 5 of her last 7. Hasn't beaten anyone. No, hasn't beaten anyone. And this is why in this fight, it's also, to me, it's easy to predict. I think Belbita is going to be experienced enough not to get finished, but I can't see her winning. I think it's going to be a decision win for Dion Barbosa. Dion Barbosa by decision. Moving on, these weird fights. Bantamweights, Davy Grant versus Daniel Santos. This is a good fight. This is one of the first fights of the night that I actually agree with and I like matchmaking, from a matchmaking standpoint. Daniel Santos in the UFC, he has failed his first big test. But he's young. He's very young. And he has bounced back with 2 victories since. He's been on a little bit of a break. I think he probably had some sort of injury, undisclosed injury. It was a year off in between confirmed bouts, and then got cancelled in between. Yeah. Davy Grant, though, is very, very tough. I liked him on tough. And at bantamweight, he has a couple losses, but I think he lost mostly to really, really good guys. At least in the last couple of years, except for maybe the Daniel Marcos fight. But on the other hand, he's still undefeated, so. And still, he gave him a hell of a fight. All right, let's come to a conclusion here. Flo. I think Grant is very, very tough and durable, and he has never been finished by strikes. Most of Daniel Santos' wins and finishes are by strikes. I think Davy Grant will prevail, and he's gonna get a decision win. He might get hurt or even dropped in one of the rounds, but I think he's going to take the fight on the judges' scorecards. Last fight of the prelims. We go to the flyweights. We have Odi Osborne. Oh, let me check something. Yeah, okay. I was worried I did not reactivate my microphone after starting the stream, but I did. Okay. Flyweights. Odi Osborne versus Luis Gurule. Gurule, where is he from? Where is he from? Okay, probably Luis Gurule. There's an American flag, so yeah. Luis Gurule. Whatever. How can we talk about this fight? This is a tough test for Gurule. A very, very tough test. So far, he's undefeated in his career. And Osborne's record doesn't look too intimidating, but if you look at the guys he fought, he's got a couple of wins against high-level guys, and he got a couple of losses against high-level guys. But he fought mostly in the last couple of years. He only fought high-level guys. This might be a very, very close one. I think Odi Osborne is still a too strong test for Luis Gurule at this point in his career. I think Odi Osborne is just too physically gifted, too athletic to be dominated in any way, shape, or form, and I think he's going to take a decision. Odi Osborne, decision over Louis Gurule. Gurule. I decide his name is Gurule. We move on to the main card, and we start off with the middleweights. We have Taurus Finney versus Robert Valentin. Yeah. I have to say, Valentin was a lot on tough. He was kind of entertaining on occasion, but also it was a lot on occasion. Like the whole Viking thing. He's from Austria or Switzerland. Where is he from? You're so not Viking. I'm more Viking geographically than you are. He's from Switzerland. I'm more Viking than he is, like, geographically. But I know other people who think they're Viking, and yeah, whatever. It's all good. And his Odin shoutouts were just cringe. I think every Scandinavian person was cringing at that moment, because it was really, how are the Swiss Viking now? Whatever, we move on. I'm sorry, I didn't want to make fun of him, but I kind of did. And I wrote another quote, I have to say, because I wrote it down. He seems to have a little, okay, here's the quote. He seems to have a little Viking Colby in him. That's my quote. Because he's like weird Nordic loud. Like he screams for blood and Valhalla and all that stuff, but Colby in the sense that I don't think he actually stands by it. I think he just likes to make it seem that he believes in it, and I just think he has a fable towards Vikings, which is fine, but yeah. Okay, overall, let's talk about the fighting. Okay, overall, I think Robert Valentin is pretty well rounded. I think he developed pretty good Muay Thai while working at Tiger. But during the show, in his fights, even though he finished most of his fights, all of his fights actually, until the finale, it always looked to me like he was a little bit stiff and not the quickest, fastest reaction speed. In his second fight, I think, was it his second fight? I think it was in his second fight where he got dropped, or at least hurt. Yeah, I think it was the second fight against Paddy McCory. I think McCory caught him and kind of rushed it and overextended, and he took him down and finished the fight from bottom with an armbar. I think it was from bottom. But Taurus Finney is a different kind of beast. Taurus Finney is an unbeaten prospect with an 80% finish rate. And since I said that Robert Valentin struggles with speed, I think Finney's speed is gonna kill him. And this is why I'm leaning towards a TKO for Taurus Finney, probably early in the fight. Sad for Robert Valentin, actually. I kind of liked him, even though I thought his persona was a little much. But I really liked him, but I think that's a tough matchup for him. I was hoping they wanted to boost him a little bit, because they boosted him so much on the show, because there was like, it felt like half of the shots were with him, and then all of a sudden it's kind of switched, which was weird. Maybe they shot the episodes first and already cut the episode and then realized later that he wasn't winning, maybe. But they couldn't know at the time because he was going to the finale. I don't understand. I don't know. They were hyping him at first, and then it's somehow the hype was slowed down, and then he lost in the finale. Well, I think he's going to lose again. We move on. Middleweights again. Brett Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert. Yeah. I have to say, Meerschaert is a surprise package in every fight he is in. But so is Brett Tavares. I think Brett Tavares is physically and technically able to defend Gerald Meerschaert's takedowns. Like 9 out of 10 times. The problem is, and the real problem in this fight is, that Tavares tends to make a mistake when his cardio gets pushed. And GM3 has a style of... It looks like he's somehow draining his opposition. Like whether he tries to hold on to you or his weird stand-up somehow gasses out his opponents. I don't know. But even though Brett Tavares is one of my all-time great favorite fighters at middleweight, I always liked him, and I always thought he had a lot more potential than what he was using. I'm leaning towards Meerschaert here. Because Brett Tavares, in all of his fights, literally in all of his fights, he makes a mistake. And Gerald Meerschaert is not the kind of guy that watches you making a mistake and not react at all. He's the kind of guy that pounces. So I guess he's going to get a submission probably late in the fight. We move on. Heavyweights. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Kennedy. I'm so sorry. I hope you're not a fan already. And you will accept my sorry. We have the heavyweights. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Martin Buday. Nzechukwu has always been fun to watch, I think. In his losses, I think he tends to overcommit and make mistakes. And I have to say, Martin Buday's split decision victory over an 45-year-old Andrei Arlovski, maybe? I'm not sure. I'm not going to look at the real age of Andrei Arlovski at the time. But since I've been a fan of martial arts, there's been an Andrei Arlovski somewhere in the top 20 of a heavyweight division. So he is long, the 40 has been long gone. And a split decision over him does not scream confidence. I really hope that Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to be able to make use of his physical gifts, because he has a lot of them. He's so athletically gifted for that division and at light heavyweight as well. I have to watch it this weekend and see if I can see him at light heavyweight again. I have to see his weigh-in weight, because I think that if he was able to not drain himself too much and make light heavyweight, he should go there. Yeah. But I think, I hope Nzechukwu is going to catch Buday, and I think he's going to do that. And this is why I'm leaning towards the TKO for Kennedy Nzechukwu. We move on. Bantamweights. Cartavius Romeus versus Lee Chang-ho. Yeah. I don't want to talk about this fight a lot, so I'm just gonna say this. Lee has been on a good winning streak lately, but I really doubt that he's going to be able to deal with a super athletic grappler in Cortavius Romeos. I don't think he's gonna be able to defend himself against him, and I think Romeos is gonna submit him. I don't know why he's so high up on the card. I don't see him as a super entertaining fighter. I'm talking about Lee Jong-ho. Well, he has a couple of finishes. No. Yeah, I'm leaning strongly towards Cortavius Romeos by submission. We move on. Featherweights, Pat Sabatini versus Joe Anderson Brito. As per usual, here comes the banger in the co-main event slot. People that aren't ranked but have a high finishing rate, so we get a great fight in the co-main slot. So we think that the card at the end we think the card was good. Yeah. The finishing machines collide. They both have a finishing rate of like above 70, I'm gonna say. Anderson Brito, I think, over 80, but I'm not that sure about Pat Sabatini. But he has a lot of finishes himself. I have to say, Pat Sabatini has been cracked a couple of times. And lately he has been very, very active in pure grappling. So he's very, very good there. But he always was very, very good there. Brito, on the other hand, can do it all. And he's really not easy to submit. So I think Pat Sabatini's going to get cracked again. And it's going to be TKO for Joe Anderson Brito in the co-main slot. Yep. I don't think it's going to be a long fight either. So the banger might be short. Hopefully short and sweet. We move on. Main event of the evening. We have Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. I always kind of like the way Josh Emmett fought. Not much about his personality because I don't think he shows that much of his personality, except that he's a happy guy, happy with his life. Other than that, he doesn't. I don't remember him showing that much personality, which is fine. You don't have to do that. You can keep that to yourself. That's fine. For this fight, Lerone Murphy is on a red hot and undefeated run at featherweight. But Josh Emmett is a fucking tough test, and many, many rising stars have had that test, and many of them failed. What it comes down to me in this fight is there's only so much either fighter can do. I'm not sure if Lerone Murphy has the power to knock Josh Emmett out. Let me see. On the finishing rate. Oh, I'm sorry. I had a long day and it's not ending. Not ending soon. He's got like 50-50 almost. Not quite. With KOs and decisions, but lately he has only got decisions. Lost a round to Ige. Lost a round to... No, he did not lose a round to Koulibaly. Yeah. He had good tests so far. Don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on the guy. But there hasn't been a test that says Josh Emmett. Even though I would love to see Josh Emmett fight Dan Ige. Did that ever happen? I don't think so. It did. And he did win against Dan Ige. Okay. Okay, that fight did happen. Alright. Well, as I said, I don't see Lerone Murphy knocking Emmett out. I can see him outstrike Josh Emmett and get a decision after 5 rounds. I can see him hurting him a couple of times during these 5 rounds, and by that way earn the decision. I can see Lerone Murphy finishing Josh Emmett. On the other hand, Emmett has way more ways to victory. He could dominate the stand-up. Okay, hear me out now. You're going to say that Lerone Murphy is the technical kickboxer and better here. But Josh Emmett has more power in his hands. And you can dominate the stand-up if you land big shots. Like, if your opponent throws 3 shots that kind of glance off your shoulders and off your guard, and maybe one of them hits your ribs a little bit, but nothing bad. And for all 3 hits your opponent gets like that, you hit him with a bomb. You know? I'm not talking about the knockout bomb, but the bomb that makes him stumble back 2-3 feet. You know? And make him take an extra step to get his composure back and get his equilibrium back. And that's something Josh Emmett is able to do and could very well do to Lerone Murphy on Saturday. We will see. Also, he could just knock him out. That's always a way for Josh Emmett. He has dynamite in that hand, and he can knock him out for sure. But also, he's working for years at Team Alpha Male. So he probably has a guillotine. So he could submit him, but that's not where I was going to. I was going for, he's wrestling every day. He's wrestling every day, hours of every day he's wrestling. He could dominate him with wrestling. If he feels like he's getting outstruck on the feet and he can't get in or something, I think he's gonna close the distance and try to take Lerone Murphy down. I can't, in another word, I see Lerone Murphy defending all those takedown attempts, don't get me wrong. But I just see more ways for Josh Emmett to get a W in this fight, which is why I'm leaning towards him by decision. And that's it. Those are my picks, and we just make a little overview of them all, and that's here. Those are my picks, and let me just do this while we talk about the start of the night. And I'm seeing Talita Alenkar get a decision over Vanessa Demopoulos, Victor Henry getting a TKO over Pedro Falcao, Loma Lugbume getting a TKO over Istela Nunes, Daniel Frunza getting a TKO over Rice McKee, Dion Barbosa decision over Diana Belvita, Davy Grant a decision over Daniel Santos, and now we have to switch for a second like this. Odie Osborne is gonna get a decision over Luis Gurul. I'm sorry, I forgot again. Torres Finney is gonna get a TKO over Robert Valentin. Gerald Merchant submission over Brett Tavares. Kennedy and Zekchukwu a TKO over Martin Budai. Cortavius Romeus a submission over Lee Chung-ho. Joe Anderson Brito a TKO over Pat Sabatini, and finally Josh Emmett a decision over Lerone Murphy. Those are my picks for the weekend. And now we're gonna talk for a second about the card in general. Where's my wiki page? One second. Okay, here it is. I'm sorry, I just lost my Wikipedia page where I have my fight card overview. All right. If you're looking for up and comers on this card, there's a couple. There's like Victor Henry, I think. Kind of on the up. No, is he not? Nah, maybe not. Okay. Daniel Frunza is on the up for sure. Not that much hype behind him though. I personally have a lot of hype for Dion Barbosa, but I don't think there's that much international attention on her. Luis Gurul is a person that has a lot of hype, and if he manages to get through Odie Osborne, I think he has a bright future, but I don't see this as a given. Other than that, there's basically nothing on this card. There's basically nothing on this card. Your co-main event, no one is ranked. Yes, as always, they are like spectacular fighters, but still, no one is ranked. No. Like the South Korean up-and-comer, Lee Chung-ho. But I don't think he's gonna, like, the way he has presented himself in the UFC so far, I don't see him succeeding on the long run in the UFC. He might be a person like the Leech, who's not. I'm sorry. I didn't mean any disrespect by, like, yeah. I know the Leech is from China and he's from South Korea, but they still kind of represent the same market, and the Leech was for a while a staple at welterweight in the UFC, and he was top 10, I think. Top 10 or top 15 at least. And I think that's possible for Lee Chung-ho as well, but I don't think he's going to be a champion at one point. And as I said, I don't see him beating Cortavius Romius. So there's basically nothing on this card. I'm looking forward to the fight of Taurus Finney versus Robert Valentin. I'm also interested in the fight of Luis Gurul versus Odie Osborne. I always like the Davy Grant fights, so versus Daniel Santos is going to be probably good scrap. But there's so few good fights. So few good fights. If they had Giga versus David Onama, which was planned for this event, maybe, but no. Oh, I did not realize Typology had such a tipping game. All right. Those are my picks. Did I? Yeah. Okay, I switched everything back to normal. Yeah, so basically what my point is, on this entire card, there's one, maybe 2-3 fights with some potential for the future. The rest is just people that are in their division that probably will never be a champion, probably have not the aspiration to be ever a champion. At least not at the stage or in the form they've provided of themselves so far. You know what I mean? Kennedy Nzechukwu so far hasn't looked like a world beater, but I can see him becoming that. Maybe this weekend is going to be the start of that part of his career. the domination part. But so far he hasn't shown it. So the main event is basically the only fight that has somewhat championship implications. And they're not that severe. Unless Murphy wins. But I don't see Lerone Murphy winning this. And I just checked. Topology has Lerone Murphy winning. 80% have Lerone Murphy winning. I disagree. I think Josh Emmett still has it. All right. That's it for now. I hope I gave you a little bit of insight into the upcoming UFC event. And yeah, leave a comment, subscribe, all that. I see you guys in the next one. See you guys.